Hey there guys, welcome back to the Inspired Evolution. Today, a topic of conversation that's really dear to my heart. It's about values. What are your values? Do you know what your top 3 values are? I would go as far as saying that 90% of the time when people respond to this question, they think they have somewhat of an idea. They'll say things like, oh, I value loyalty, I value honesty, I value integrity, but they haven't exactly done the homework to be clearly able to say, my top 3 values, my core values are connection, contribution, celebration. That's what mine are. Let's find out what yours are in today's video. So today's thought-provoking video is about values. Values are the guiding principles and thoughts, actions and behaviors that play the fundamental role in determining who we are as individuals. They define our personality in many ways. The way I like to describe this, these are the pillars of the temple that is you. Now I know contextually I'm Indian, so I run the risk of sounding like your body is a temple, but honestly, your values are the pillars of the temple that is you. The energy of your life flows through that temple, and what is it that you stand for? What is it that this temple is erected for? Whether we realize it or not, our values influence every aspect of our life, every single aspect of our life, from the decisions we make, to the careers we choose, to the relationships we form. And in today's fast-paced, ever-changing world, it's even more important than ever to get super clear on your values and make sure that all of the goals that you're setting, all the relationships that you're forming, they're aligned with you, your values, and your aspirations and your inspirations. So if you're ready to explore the power of values, let's go. The reason that I love getting to know your values so deeply is because it helps you get really clear on your purpose and direction in life. Everything about the Inspired Evolution is helping you live a life that's empowered by purpose, right? But how do you know who you really are and what you're here to do? The first place every single piece of coaching with me ever starts with is, what are your core values? Right? So my core values are connection, contribution, celebration. Now, when I stop to reflect on times in the past when I was doing work, let's say when I was working building high-rise towers for a corporate construction entity here in Melbourne in Australia, I look back and I didn't have a lot of job satisfaction. Yeah. And when I reflect upon it, it's very easy now with the awareness that I have on my values to go, why was that not fulfilling for me? Let's just run a quick audit. Connection. There wasn't much. Contribution, I was building homes for people, and lots of homes at a time, 50-story towers, that's a lot of dwellings, so sure, there's contribution there. Celebration, there wasn't much celebration in it either. So out of my top 3 values, I was meeting one of them, right? The one of contribution. So there was some fulfillment, but very little. When we fast forward to now, my journey now as a coach, speaker, podcaster, YouTuber, let's audit these careers by my values. Connection. I'm connecting to you here now, digitally, right? Connecting to an audience worldwide, whether I'm coaching, whether I'm speaking, connecting to large audience, connecting to an intimate audience. There's a lot of connection in this work, right? Even with the podcast, connecting to people that I respect and look up to and the wisdom that they carry, being able to interview them and they slowly become my friends through this exercise. There's a lot of connection, right? So connection, tick. Contribution, well, hopefully this is helping you, and everything that is in the Inspired Evolution is designed to be of service to humanity, right, and the planet. So lots of contribution, tick. Celebration, hopefully we all live life in a richer, more fuller way because of all this work that is part of the Inspired Evolution ecosystem. Tick, 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 tick. So there is so much alignment to my values that I feel such a deep sense of fulfillment and purpose on this path. Now, I'm not a unicorn. It's just that I took the time to get really clear on my values and find the vehicles and containers that can support me in diving deeper into the expression of those values in my day-to-day life. And you can do the same. Let's find out what your core values are so that you can feel more fulfilled and satisfied with your life. Ultimately, underneath all of this, the reason I really want to get this across to you is because this is the cornerstone that runs as the foundation for solid mental health and the core of your well-being. Additionally, understanding your values helps you prioritize things, and we'll talk a little bit about this in the video. You can get really aware on what's important to you at any given time. When I know something is driven for connection, contribution, and celebration, I show up for it 150%. It's always a yes. But if it doesn't align up to those values, I've had so many opportunities that come to me, touch wood, through the Inspired Evolution. And these days I have to knock them back. I've got a really healthy sense of boundaries. I'm able to prioritize what's for me and what's not for me simply by going, does this align to my values? So when an opportunity comes my way and goes, hey, do you want to be part of and this was an opportunity that came up recently, was a media publishing company. Do you want to be part of a media publishing company that we're putting together? You've got a lot of amazing content. You obviously understand the type of content that we put out into the world. Would you like to be a part of this? And when I stopped and reflected quickly, connection, will I be able to connect with people and the people that I want to, like you, the audience that I'm connecting to here? That one was a no. I don't really get to connect. I'm helping them build a publishing house that's connecting. There's a lot of contribution, connecting the type of things that I like talking about, and there's a lot of celebration because ultimately we're doing the thing that I love doing and helping people live a much more richer, fulfilling life. So 2 of my top 3 values were in there, but connection wasn't in there, and connection is my top value. So I politely had to decline because it wasn't in alignment with me, right? But when someone comes up to me, like, let's say Mind Valley, where I helped them establish their premium coaching program that they have over there, and they were like, do you want to do this? A quick audit went, do I get to connect with people? One-on-one, I'll be coaching. Absolutely, there's a lot of connection in there. Yes. Contribution, obviously helping Mind Valley build a program, and I really respect and love what Mind Valley's up to in the world, and honored to be, one of their founding coaches. That was a definite yes. That was a total contribution. And celebration, absolutely. People are going to be able to live richer, more fuller lives because of the work that we're going to participate in together. So it was an absolute yes. We didn't even discuss finances. We didn't discuss contracts before any of that. It was just like a yes, I'm ready to do this. I'm part of it. Let's go. Let's do this to the best of my ability because I know that it was in alignment to my values. And that's the power of knowing your values. You have so much clarity on your direction. This is not just in your professional life. It's also in your personal life. You get super clear with clarity on what's most important to you, right? And connection in the workplace, doing the things that I'm doing with you here, is very different to what connection also means to me at home. Connection is all about family connection, spending time with them, making sure that we're actually spending quality time and energy with each other. This helps me prioritize where I spend my time and energy. And ultimately, where I spend my time and energy, I feel a lot of flow in because I'm doing things that are in alignment with my values. So I would naturally want to connect. I would naturally want to contribute. I would naturally want to celebrate, even if I was getting paid for it or not, right? I do it at home as a byproduct of just who I am. Remember, going back, these are the pillars of the temple that is me. And in my professional life, the fact that I get paid to do this is a total trip, right? Because it's like I would do this for free and yet I'm getting paid to do it. Wow, thank you so much. And the irony is, because it's exactly who I am, I'm showing up 150% so well behind these things that I'm doing that obviously people go, hey, you're really good at what you do. Let me reimburse you handsomely or even more handsomely, right? Because you've got a deep passion, you're enthusiastic about this, you love what you're doing. But the reality is I'm just doing what I was put here to do, touch wood. And if you can have the exact same thing, if you get really clear on your values, that clarity and sense of direction is the key thing that values give you, but it's not the only thing. They also really help with our relationships. I remember when I was with my wife, Kay, we were at the time checking out of a building that we were living in here in Melbourne. And we went to see the building manager and we had to book a lift to get out of the building. Now, we were sitting with the building manager and he was just one of these people that he was gruff, right? Toxic to be around, hard bloke to sort of spend a moment with. And we walked into his office, booked the lift, and we got out and we left. The interaction was less than pleasant. He was rough, he was crude, he was just and we were both excited to leave excited and quick to leave his office. When we were leaving his office, my wife turned around to me and said, then girlfriend, she said, hey, why didn't you say something to him? This was about 10 years ago. And I said, oh wow, I'm not sure I would have, and this was internally, I was like, I'm not sure I would have ever said anything to him. I was just eager to get out of there and not have anything else to do with this person, really, if I'm honest. And I reflected on myself. And the first thought, when you're a young adolescent male, the first thought that came to me was like, oh, my girlfriend's telling me that I should have stood up for me, for her, and I didn't. Is there something wrong? Like, am I not man enough? Like, these are the sort of adolescent shadow thoughts that you have, right? And I was like, wow, maybe I'm not the man that she needs me to be, right? And I started spiraling a little bit. And then for a quick sec, I was like, actually, I'm doing this thing on values. Let me just quickly check. What are my values? My values are connection, contribution, celebration. And I quickly sat there and said, okay, was I ever going to say something? I was like, no, that would have disrupted connection. Even though it wasn't someone I wanted to connect to, Amrit is all about connection. So I was never going to say something. I was just ready to get out of there, so I no longer had to be part of this connection, right? I was just ready to run. Contribution, there was nothing doing. Celebration, there's nothing doing in that space. Hence why my strategy was, let's get out of here as quick as we can. But also one of the things that happens is when you get really clear on your values, you can also get really clear on others. And you start, and I looked around at my wife and I realized, oh, her highest value is integrity. And so from her seat of integrity, naturally she feels like that person needs to know that it's not okay to conduct yourself that way, right? That's integrity, right? So I could see quickly that actually it had nothing to do with obviously some of the shadow thoughts I was having as a young adolescent male, which was like, it's nothing to do with my manhood or anything to do with that. Being quite vulnerable sharing that story with you here, guys. But it was more to do with the fact that in her, she was coming from a place of integrity and I was coming from a place of connection. So if a connection was never going to speak up and say anything, integrity felt every single time that in my integrity, this person should know that they can't speak to me this way. Right? So it had nothing to do with me. It was more my wife's perspective, then girlfriend, that she wanted to let this person know that, hey, this was not the right thing to do. This is not the way to conduct yourself in today's society. You know, you can have respect for other people, right? So there's a really interesting thing there where you start to understand yourself better and it really helps you navigate relationships better. You become more self-aware and you become more aware of the people around you and what their values are and what their motivations are, what their interests are. And you can align your interests to theirs. You can also soften yourself with the expectations that you've got of yourself around living up to their values because you're actually just going to live up to yours. And if they know your values and who you are, they can trust you to do what you do with great excellence as well. So in there, one of the other benefits is increased self-awareness. As you can tell through the stories I've been sharing with you, you get really clear on who you are when you know your values and how you like to show up and what you like to show up for. Even if money wasn't a thing, even if relationships weren't a thing, these are the things that you would be doing naturally. I would be connecting, contributing, celebrating with you anyway, right? And you'll notice also in the Mind Valley conversation that I was having with you before, when I was deciding to become a coach versus taking on the opportunity to become, helping a media publishing company, the decision making was down to took me 30 seconds to make a life-changing decision. Yeah. That improved decision-making ability is also something that is just, values help you so much because you're so clear on your priorities, so clear on your energy, so clear on when you want to invest, where you want to invest your energy, that you don't waste time making the wrong decisions, going down the wrong paths, saving yourself potentially years doing the wrong thing, right? And I have felt that pain. This is a big reason why I'm creating this video for you guys. I have felt what it's like to be in the wrong career for a decade, right? Doing the wrong thing because it's not aligned to your values. When you finally commit to something that is in alignment with your values, yes, it requires courage. Yes, it can be daunting. Yes, and there's plenty more videos to come on that topic. But really, once you know your values, you know who you are and what you're here to do, and the decisions that you need to make to follow through on making it possible for you to live your fullest, richest life. So all of this talk on values, what are they? They are the principles, beliefs, and standards that guide your behavior. So you showing up for the work that you love to do, right, is in alignment to your values, and that is where you will contribute the most value to society, to the world, right? It is your high performance self is the one that is going to experience the most flow, which is the one that is living in alignment to their values. It's as simple as that. On the other hand, you'll find there are people that you look up to, or there are situations that you really enjoy. There are places that you love to be in that evoke your values. You really value these spaces, these people, these things. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? What you see in others is actually available for you. Now, let's give a quick example of that. Some of you will look at me and see a purpose coach, right? And you'll see purpose. You see Amrit has purpose. Now, someone else will look at me and see Amrit has joy, right? And someone else will see joy. Other people look at me and say Amrit is all about music. You know, I love music, and Amrit's all music, right? Who's right? Is Amrit music or is Amrit joy? Like, what is Amrit? The fact of the matter is that person that's looking at me and identifying me as music, or that person that's looking at me and identifying me as joy, right? Touch wood, is seeing me as who they are, right? Now, this is a really powerful personal development thing as well, to recognize that people don't see the world as it is, but they see the world as they are. And the same is true for you. You see the world as you are, right? So you see the world as your values. Your values are what you see in others. If you can see it in someone else, you have it. So if you see someone that you say, oh, that is a really trustworthy person, or that person has a lot of integrity, or that person demonstrates a lot of loyalty, or that person's a lot of fun, likely these are your values because you're seeing that aspect of them. It's available to you because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Now, it's not always all roses as well. When we're talking about values, it's important to recognize that your life story oftentimes informs your values. When the Jesuits have a saying, if you show me the child before the age of 7, I'll show you the man. Yeah. So oftentimes the traumas and the challenges that are locked into our childhood end up informing our values. Yeah. My biggest value, my top value of connection came from originally having this void of growing up in an Indian family in a Western world and having this misalignment between who I was at home and who I was at school, and trying to connect to people from like one island to the other, and I was like screaming between the two places, right? And there was this real like sense of whoa, like it was very jutted, and the connection between the two was, was something that was compromised. And so there's this real awareness that our traumas and our challenges actually inform our values in a really big way. And oftentimes as adults, we experience other types of trauma, and they can actually reevaluate our beliefs for us. Like our beliefs start to change over time. And I'll do a whole video on frequently asked questions about values down the track, and talking about traumas and values and whether values change over time is something we'll definitely cover in those. Fundamentally, our values provide us with a framework to understand what it is that is most important to us and what inspires us. When we're clear about our values, we're able to better align our actions and decisions with what matters to us most. And this in turn is the cornerstone of us being able to find fulfillment in our life, to live a life of purpose. For example, if you value compassion and helping others, you might get a lot out of something like volunteering, being of service, potentially even starting up a YouTube channel like this and being of service in the best way that you know how. You will get a lot of fulfillment out of something like this. Living a life in alignment with your values such that your actions and behaviors line up to your values is all about coherence. It's all about living in alignment so that you can facilitate greater and greater levels of meaning and flow in your life. When we act, on the other hand, with ways that are in conflict to our values, ultimately in conflict to ourselves, because our values are us, right? We experience a deep sense of inner turmoil, dissatisfaction, frustration, irritation, anger, stress, disharmony. And this shows up for a lot of people. Sometimes you're that person that values honesty and your job requires you to be dishonest, and you struggle with that. I know a lot of people that have struggled with that exact challenge. Ultimately, if you're looking to live a life with a sense of purpose and satisfaction and fulfillment, values are key. So, how do you discover your values? First things first, you can start by taking a look around at your space and see what it's filled with. When you come to my home, there's books on spirituality, there's books on business, there's books on finance, there's books on personal development, there's books on mindset, there's books on health and wellness. I care about all of that, really. And then you see microphones, and then you see, right? So it's like, okay, like media and communication is a bit of a thing, inspiration, spirituality, all this sort of stuff. You take another look around, there's guitars, there's instruments, there's handpans, there's drums, there's music everywhere. I invest a lot in really nice speakers because I'd like to think that I love audio. So I love music, right? So you can quickly start to see, oh, I value music, I value spirituality, I value, right? So what connection really means to me is like, yes, connection to people, and yes, connection to my family, but also my connection to my God. Contribution, what does it really mean to me? It means to live a life of service, right? And so everything that I learn, being able to contribute that, back to you guys. That's what my work is able to do. So I can see that live it out in my space, in my environment. I can see other people that inspire me when I look up to the Jordan Petersons of the world, the Sadhgurus of the world, even the Tony Robbins of the world. These people are contributing to others, right? So these are the people that I look up to. Take a look at the people that you look up to. Who inspires your evolution? That's where the name came from, right? Inspired evolution. What is it that you see in others? What is in your space? And when I then look back at celebration, where is it that you find the most joy in life? I'm having the most joy in life when I'm out with friends and we're just having great conversation, we're making music, or we're, in the park, or going away on retreat, or, just even if we're just in my living room, we're having a conscious conversation. There is just so much about reveling in the mystery of life and having so much joy about the fact that this is such a trip to even be alive, let alone learning how to navigate it. All the mysticism and all the science and everything in between that links into that there's just so much celebration for the joy and the miracle that is life, right? And so those are the moments that bring me so much. So take a look at your space. What's in your space, right? You naturally gravitate and pull things into your space that matter to you, that you, wait for it, value, right? And then also the moments that you're spending your time and energy in, right? Your spare moments. Obviously, if you're parenting, you're busy. There's a lot of stuff going on with that. And if you're a primary carer for somebody, you're busy. But in your spare time, what are you valuing, right? What are the things that you value? And sometimes people try to go, well, I watch a lot of Netflix. I must value Netflix. And it's like, what type of shows are you watching, right? Like when I'm watching shows on Netflix, I'm watching things like AI, like artificial intelligence, because I'm curious about consciousness and what the future of it potentially looks like. There's mystical shows, and I'm watching things that definitely are in alignment to what I value. I'm not wasting my time watching things that don't matter to me, right? Nothing that I don't value, right? So even your YouTube feeds, even your Facebook feeds, your Instagram feeds can be informative in telling you what it is that you value, where you spend your time and energy. And lastly, what are the things that bring you the most joy, right? What are the things that just light you up like a Christmas tree? The things that you just know that when you do it, you've got a smile on your face. This could be going for walks. This could be skydiving. This could be looking at hot rod cars. It could be spending time with dogs. It could be bird watching. It could be going into the city and having drinks with your friends. It could be critiquing good food. It could be anything, right? For me, it's conscious conversation, right? So what is it for you that lights you up like a Christmas tree? Those are 3 key places to start. Take a look at an environment and what you've naturally filled it with, and that includes your digital space. And secondly, what do you see in others that inspires you? Take a look around. Who are your inspirations in life? What do they invoke within you? Remember, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What inspires you in life? And thirdly, what do you enjoy the most? Where do you just lose time? Like you go to sit down for something for like a couple of minutes and an hour later you're still doing it. What is it that you absolutely love doing and enjoy the most in life? What are those activities? If you start to have a look at those, you'll start to get some clarity on your values. Now, that can be somewhat of a time-consuming process to sit with yourself and have a look at your life through that process. I've created a quick 15-minute exercise. If you do this rapido, you can do this in 15 minutes. If you take your time, at the most, it takes 45 to 60. Here's a short course in the link below on how to discover your values. It's super short, super sharp, super shiny. It's efficient, it's effective. I don't want to waste your time, but I really want you to live a really rich life. So if you're curious about discovering your top 3 values, this is hands down the best tool that I can recommend to you to discover your values. Please do check it out below if you're interested in living a life of purpose, meaning, and fulfillment. Or even if you just want to get clear on what your values are so you can make better decisions, have better relationships, and I'm biased, ultimately live a life that you love. And for those of you that are considering taking action but may not at this last little juncture, guys, you've watched a video all the way through. If 15 minutes of your time can help you just completely transform the trajectory of your future because you're just super clear on who you are, why would you not take that step? That's my simple, humble question for you. 15 minutes of your time can help you get super clear on the future of yourself so that you can live a life in complete alignment. What's stopping you from just getting connected to yourself in such a beautiful way? And guys, ultimately, thank you so much for watching this video to the end. If you've loved it, give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. And if you're new around here, hit subscribe. creating content like this. We have full podcasts coming out to you every Monday with incredible influential thought leaders every week here on the Inspired Evolution as part of the Amrit Sandhu channel. And I'm coming to you live every Thursday with bits and pieces like this. Stay tuned. If you hit subscribe and hit the bell notification icon, there'll be videos in the future on how we can use values to overcome value conflicts between yourself and others, and how to basically achieve outcomes in relationships that are aligned to both parties. Also, how to understand the nexus of your values and your personality, and how that all sort of the interplay between those two things. And also another video on how our values change over time. As always, stay inspired, keep evolving. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, leave us a comment. And if you want to stay in tune for new episodes launching every Monday, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay inspired to evolve.